Hey everyone, it's Denise Brown from the Caregiving Years Training Academy. Over the past few weeks, I've been introducing you to presenters at the Caring Conference, our Treasured Transformations, which happens on March 25th. And I'm thrilled and delighted to introduce you to two more. They are good friends, they are colleagues, and they are going to transform how we think of our family game nights. So welcome to Darra and Dee. Welcome, ladies. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Denise. It's great to be here.
Excellent. Thank you, Denise. We're very happy to be here.
Okay, so you're going to turn a 25-minute workshop into a feeling of a family game night, and you're going to really transform how we think about the games we play, which can help us in our caregiving experience. I am fascinated to know more. So what can we expect during your workshop?
Well, what we have done is we have really taken the concept of family game night to help think about caregiving challenges, family communication challenges, and build a framework where people can think about how they might approach various caregiving responsibilities, decisions, communications with that construct of family game night, a game of life, a game of trouble, a game of jeopardy. And it gives us a fun, a little bit less complex way to think about really complicated and challenging topics.
Absolutely.
Well, and I think we approach some of the concepts that aren't talked about in most caregiving classes, and that has a lot to do with family dynamics and expectations and looking at who is on your team in a bigger picture way. And so we want to make it fun because we both know personally how hard caregiving is and how much it takes out of you. And so instead of just getting lectured to, not that everybody does that, but we want to make it fun and interactive and hopefully really solidify the points that we're going to make in our very short session.
You know, go ahead.
I was going to say, our hope is that people walk away with a family game in mind as a way to introduce a concept or a conversation that might have been difficult to introduce before. It's a construct that really takes down some of the walls and barriers to have really challenging conversations.
And I think the game of life is a really interesting game to play around caregiving issues. So I wonder if you could give us a little teaser about how that game could inspire a conversation about a caregiving situation.
Well, the game of life metaphor that we use actually has to do with making sure that you have all of your insurance and plans in place and building that portfolio as you do in a game of life to make sure that those caregiving situations are considered, right? You don't wait, you plan for it. And so the game of life is really about planning and making sure that you have all of those insurances and all of those assets in place to manage. Dee might be able to talk about one of our other games, Would You Rather, and kind of what we put into the would you rather conversation.
Thanks, Darra. I'm not quite prepared for would you rather.
So. Or we pick another one, whichever one you want to pick.
Well, chutes and ladders is what came to mind.
Sure.
And that, you know, I think the other thing that I want to kind of express with all of this is by talking about it in a game format, it also opens up a non-threatening way to have a conversation. Let's talk about chutes and ladders and about, you know, we climb up a hill, we climb up the ladder, and you know, is this a chute that's going to take us into the right place, or is it a chute that maybe is into the unknown or somebody isn't aware of it? But it provides a metaphor for having these conversations with family in a non-defensive way. So it starts out fun, and then you can get into the serious business of caring conversations. Because a lot of these are pretty serious, but we stop ourselves from having those conversations because we are afraid. So this takes away a lot of the defensiveness around that because it's in a game format, and who doesn't love games?
I just think about the little car that we get in the game of life that we start to put the little blue and the little pink as we build our family. And I think it would be fun to think about how do we put our aging relatives in the car with us as we build our families.
Mhm.
So I want to ask you a question that's related to my own personal caregiving experience, and that is, how do we get our siblings who are very difficult? Not, not that I'm pointing at any of my siblings, but I am. I have one who's very difficult. How do we get that difficult sibling to play with us?
So, those are important conversations to have, and it's coming at it from a different angle. It's asking, defining roles. What are the roles in the caregiving for the particular person that you're talking about, and what needs to get done? And we're kind of help people sort through that. And then how do we, rather than necessarily assign a job or responsibility, is to allow people to volunteer for the things that they think that they can contribute to and contribute in a way that makes them feel good and is not something that's forced upon them. So it's a very inclusive and interactive kind of conversation rather than one directional. I'm the one here, I'm the big sister, I'm in charge. No, here's what I see that needs to get done. Here's all of the kinds of things that I'm either doing or need to be doing, and who would like to volunteer? Whose best skills can help take this particular action item and run forward with it. And so it's more voluntary, more participative, and fun.
Well, and I think the reality is sometimes you don't fix those things, right?
Mhm.
And there are elements, and we bring in those metaphors from different games around how do you avoid tug of war? How do you manage some of these other things? And so each metaphor kind of really takes it from a different perspective. And sometimes it's about making sure that that person who is feet on the ground, managing everything, is being taken care of and doing the best they can with what they have, knowing they might not get the help that they wish they could from a difficult sibling. You can't solve all of it. Sometimes you just have to reframe your own thinking about what you're going to be able to get from your care companions, if you will.
So I'm curious, what would something like this have done for your own personal caregiving experiences?
Mm.
You want to go first, Dee?
Apparently there's my alarm. Um, I think one is realizing that this is like any other project in my life. So I definitely, well, Darra and I are both very project management oriented, as our sisters and my siblings. And to frame it in that way is that this is a project that there's not one set way to do things, I think, is the other piece of it. And so opening up our minds and looking at things maybe from a different perspective would have been very helpful. What about you, Darra?
I actually would have loved to have had something like our construct to open a conversation with my siblings and be able to have that conversation in a way that I learned this idea. I'd like to share it with you and talk through it in a way that we understand, right? We've all played family game night together. And so being able to introduce a really difficult conversation in a non-threatening way using a framework that has been developed by experts would have probably helped me have more constructive and effective conversations with my family in my own caregiving experiences, because I could have introduced it in a much more non-threatening or defensive way even.
And if I can add to that, I think it would have avoided avoidance, which is what we did for several years before we hit crisis. And that it was framed in a way that wasn't so scary looking, and that I had better information, because I kept saying to my sisters when we leave our mom and dad, things are changing. We need to go figure out this whole world of senior care. And then we did nothing. And so I say we'd use the ostrich approach. We stuck our head in the sand for too many years. And so it was crisis that took us out of it. And if I'd had a simple way to receive this information, it wouldn't have been so threatening to me. And I wouldn't have exhibited so much avoidance.
Okay. So the name of your workshop is Winning Strategies for Family Caregiving. And you are part of our all-day conference, which is virtual, on March 25th. And I want to let you guys have an opportunity to tell our listeners and viewers how to be in touch with you. So Darra, why don't you start us off? How can our listeners and viewers be in touch with you?
Great, would love to share that. To find information about how to reach me, you can actually, I'm going to give you my email. It's the easiest. It's darra@mycarecompanions.com. Would love to hear from anybody who would like more information about how to have these challenging conversations.
Excellent. And Darra is a subject matter expert and a wonderful person to work with. So I highly endorse her. And my business is Life Changes Elder Care. If you go to www.lifechangeseldercare.com, you can get a hold of me, as well as lots and lots of good information on my website. I have over 400 newsletters present out there. You can make a schedule a time with me on the calendar through my website, learn all about us and what we do, and would love to just be able to chat with any of your audience that would like some help.
Okay. Darra and Dee, thank you guys so much. Looking forward to seeing you March 25th at the Caring Conference.
We look forward to it.
Thank you. Bye, Denise. Bye, Darra.
And thanks everybody so much for watching. You can go to caringourway.com to see our complete list of workshops and to register to join us. It's free. If you need CEUs, it's $20 to get as many as 7 CEUs. So it's a great deal. Okay, caringourway.com. Thanks everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.